Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 2018 MBSYEP and 1000 Initiative Summer Launch Event. Can I get a round of applause? First of all, I want to thank everyone who is here today, the young people, all of the distinguished guests. I want to thank Mr. Ron Moten. Where's Mr. Ron Moten at? There you are. Thank you so much. So what I want to tell you about Ron Moten before we get started and Check It Enterprises is that this is a perfect example of community, of youth, and partnership. See, what I will tell you is that oftentimes we have big ideas but not a whole lot of action. This is an example of action. And I want to thank you so much for your commitment to young people and the community. So I have the pleasure of serving as the interim director of the DC Department of Employment Services. And under the leadership of Mayor Bowser, I have the great privilege and challenge to think big. And so what comes with big thinking comes big ideas, comes innovation, comes transformation. And so I'm super excited about today because not only are we launching the Marion Barry Summer Youth Employment Program, but we're launching a new initiative that's going to be disruptive. And so what I mean by disruptive, I mean something that's going to shift the paradigm and change not only how we partner and collaborate with community, but how we serve people. And so the 1,000 initiatives for summer of 2018 is going to be life altering. It means at least, and I say at least, 1,000 people east of the river or in our priority PSAs are going to have an opportunity to do something big and transformative in their life. From jobs to additional enrichment activities, to training, but there will be 1,000 brand new initiatives and opportunities. So I can tell you, I've just spent time with my partners from across the country who do workforce development, and one of them in particular, Dr. Alice Prince, said to me, how is it that you're able to do what you do in the District of Columbia? And I said, well, first of all, you have to have leaders who are courageous that allow you to think big and do big things. So thank you, Mayor Bowser, for your commitment. Two, you got to have community partners that are willing to walk the walk with you and talk the talk. And I'm not talking about just any kind of community partners, but people who are in the trenches. One of my staff people who calls himself Mr. In the Trenches always reminds me, Dr. Morris Hughes, you got to get in the trenches. Well, I'm here to tell you that we're in the trenches today. And with this initiative, we are going to make a difference. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to one of our summer youth employment youth who is going to have the opportunity to introduce the mayor. I met this young man last year while we were going around and doing some radio interviews on the importance of SYEP. And the first time I ever met him, he had really big, courageous ideas on what he wanted to do with his life, but most importantly, how he was going to impact the communications industry. And so what better fitting today than to have someone who understands and thinks big, just like our mayor. So Mr. Kamani Hayes, would you mind coming up and introducing the mayor, please?
There we go. There we go. Thank you so much. Thank you. Start off by saying good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We good today? Yes. Okay. Just a quick background about myself. My name is Kimani Haynes. I'm a Ward 7 resident. I graduated from Archbishop Carroll High School, and from there I went to Bowie State. I'm a recent college graduate from Bowie State. Go Bowie State. Any Bulldogs? No? Okay, we got a couple. But as being a recent graduate, I have to say that it's not easy to find a full-time, opportunity. So that's why I'm very grateful for Muriel Bowser for giving us this opportunity. In 2015, she expanded the program from 22 to 24. I'm 23 years old, and I wouldn't be here without her. So can we give her a round of applause real quick? Thank you so much. So without further ado, I just want to bring up our mayor, my mayor, Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you, Kamani. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. We have a lot to talk about. and it's warm. And I know you all want to get to your summer job opportunity, so I'm going to try to speak quickly. But I do want to acknowledge a lot of great members of our team who helped us get here today to not only talking about the Marion Barry Summer Youth Program, but our new 1,000 opportunities for the summer that we think are exciting for summer youth, but also our young people in our Parks and Recreation Department. Let me acknowledge our Deputy Mayor for Greater Economic Opportunity, Courtney Snowden. Thank you, Courtney. I want to acknowledge the City Administrator for the District of Columbia, Rashad Young. Let's welcome and thank Rashad Young. The Chief of Police for the Metropolitan Police Department and our command staff here. Let's acknowledge Peter Newsham. Thank you, Peter Newsham. I also want to acknowledge the Director of our Safer Stronger Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, Dale McFadden. Thank you, Dale. And the Director for the Department of Parks and Recreation, Keith Anderson, who is at the front, along with Sharon Hines, the Director of the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs. So we have a lot of our senior team members who are here and who have been very focused on how we provide additional opportunities for the summer. Let me just step back before you heard some of the nitty-gritty from Dr. Morris Hughes and our team at the Department of Employment Services. You know what they do every summer? Our D.C. government is about 33,000 people. Our summer youth program is about 12,000 people. So every summer, they basically create half of the D.C. government. Hire people, place people, supervise people, and pay people on time. So that's a big, big endeavor. So I want to thank DOES and Dr. Morris Hughes. Thank you for your leadership and for everything that your team has done to get us here today. So I'm stepping back to say that as a city, we are doing phenomenal things and we're growing super fast. And part of growing really, really fast is that things cost more. Housing is harder to find. Opportunities are harder to get. So what I promised 3.5 years ago was that we would focus on creating those opportunities for all DC residents. That's affordable housing and that's good paying jobs. And that is why we expanded the Marion Barry Summer Youth Program to include 22 to 24-year-olds. That's why we focused on making sure you have great opportunities, you have transportation to get to and from, and throughout the school year, you're also connected to great opportunities. That's also why we created the Infrastructure Academy in Washington, D.C., that is located in Ward 8. And the point of the Infrastructure Academy is to train DC residents for really good paying jobs that have gone unfilled in our city. Like literally, these employers can't fill the jobs. So we want DC residents to be trained to work on our metro, to work for Pepco, and to work for all of our utilities that are paying good jobs, that are paying good wages for good jobs. And I'm actually going to pinch hit a little bit and ask the city administrator to come up and talk more specifically about what we're doing with our new 1,000 opportunities for this summer. He actually posed a question to me and he said, Mary, you know, we have some kids on a waiting list. I said, waiting list for what, CA? And he said, for camp. And he said, I think we can pull together a program to get those kids off of the waiting list and get them into camp. And I said, well, let's do it. So let me introduce the city administrator to come up and talk a little bit about that.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor, and good morning to all of you. It is really a pleasure to be here, not only to launch SYEP, but to launch these enhanced programming efforts that we have developed along with the DOES and DPR, the Deputy Mayor for Greater Economic Opportunity, and so many other agencies in the government. DOES has been really committed and focused to finding opportunities for employment for residents across the district, particularly in wards 7 and 8. And so when we started talking about what else should we be doing that we perhaps are not doing this summer, and I challenged and asked the team, let's Dr. Morris Hughes, think bold. let's come back with some strategies that we can actually put on the table very quickly. And they came back with the 1,000 Opportunities Initiative. And so we looked across the spectrum at the kinds of workforce development programs that we have in the district, whether it's SYEP, whether it's Career Connections, whether it's apprenticeship programs, and said, how can we add to that mix? And so the team came back and we started looking at every program that we have, and we said, we can get 1,000 new opportunities for district residents to be in workforce training and subsidized employment over the next 90 days. And so whether it's a program like SYEP, where we'll take more individuals in this summer, we're going to add slots there. We're going to look at our apprenticeship programs and add additional slots there, look at Career Connections and add additional slots there, and we're going to be able to connect 1,000 people over the next 90 days to employment opportunities. In addition to the some 10,000 people to 12,000 people who will be working in SYEP this summer. And then we said, what else do we need to do? And so we looked at DPR and I said, Director, what should we be doing? And he said, you know what? We need some more summer enrichment. There are 300 people in Ward 8 on a waiting list for camp slots. We have 500 youth in shelters across the city who aren't in summer camp. And so we're going to have additional recreation investments. We're going to take trips and youth retreats to Camp Riverview. We're going to have DPR fishing trips, additional basketball tournaments and family nights and teen nights at our recreation centers across the ward. We're going to bring out our mobile recreation van also in Ward 8. We're going to take these slots and open up Simon and Savoy elementary schools and use that for our summer enrichment programs this summer. And we're not done there. And so we said, we've had this uptick in violence in Ward 8. Too many people are still getting shot. Too many guns are on the street. And so how can we enhance our violence reduction efforts in the neighborhood? And so the Department of Youth and Rehabilitative Services are going to expand their restorative healing circles. We are training yet this week a set of outreach workers who are working in the Neighborhood Safety and Engagement Office to be out in the community connecting our residents to resources. Through a partnership with the Far Southeast Family Strengthening Collaborative, we're going to target young people and make sure that we can intervene in violent beefs and issues across this ward and across the district to reduce violence, the risk of violence to our young people. So we are very proud to be launching SYEP, to be launching the 1,000 Opportunities Initiative, to be having Simon and Savoy open, also for enrichment for our young people, to be having our healing circles, and to be doing the good work of violence interruption across the District of Columbia. All right. Thank you, Mayor.
I want to thank the entire team for coming up with that initiative. I want to thank the CA and the budget team for making sure we can make the funds available to make those additional investments. And I want to thank all of you, young people, who you got signed up on time. Give them a big round of applause. You worked with all the folks at DOES to tell them what you were interested in so that you could have a great enriching experience. You're taking very seriously the opportunity that you have to find out about a career, to connect with a mentor, to learn about what you want to do. You may find that your summer youth experience is exactly how you want to spend the rest of your life. You may find that it's not how you want to spend the rest of your life, but that is a good experience too. You're reminding yourself and your friends about how you're supposed to dress to go to work, about how you're supposed to act on the metro getting back and forth, and about how to communicate with your supervisors. If everything is going right, or if you need something to change, you need to speak up, you need to communicate so you can have a fantastic experience during this summer. I'm really excited. I don't know about you. I love summer and summer youth. But more than that, I love when school starts. That's going to be great. So in addition, you're getting ready for school and being reminded that you have to be at school every day and be prepared for school every day. So again, I want to thank Check It Enterprises. Let's give them a big round of applause. Let's also thank Councilmember Silverman for joining us today. And I want to wish you all a happy, safe, productive, and prosperous summer. Thank you, young people. And I think I have some press. I don't know if we have anything else for the young people to do. We have one thing.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I did one other important thing to say, two other important things to say. One, we also listened to the community about the condition of our rec centers. And so we're going to invest this summer an additional $1.1 million in Farabee Hope Recreation Center to make sure that that center is responsive to the needs of the community. We'll fix the HVAC. We'll make sure that the property is right so that we can maximize our recreational opportunities. The other is we have a number of young people who are in summer school this summer, and we want them to also have the SYEP experience. So those young people will be working after school at their summer school locations as a part of SYEP as well, so they can also earn money this summer. I wanted to make those 2 points. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Sam.
According to the information here in the press release, you had 12,000 young people working last year, 10,000 this year. Why the decrease?
Let me have Dr. Morris Hughes talk about our summer youth enrollment for the year.
Good morning. Yes, so we did have 12,000 young people work last year. This year we were budgeted for 10,000, but because of the efforts of the mayor and the city administrator and the deputy mayor, we were able to extend that number. So we will be serving close to 12,000 this year through this 1,000 opportunities and additional resources.
The budget cut?
Yes, so in 18 we did receive a cut to the budget.
Yes. To that, Mayor, why would they cut the budget for, or whoever cut the budget for this
I'm going to
program?
ask the city administrator to come back. He's going to recall that. I assure you that we advance full funding for the SYEP in each of my budgets, and I'll have the CA talk about the budget from last year.
Thank you, Mayor. So we certainly want to see maximum opportunity for SYEP. The mayor's request last year fully funded SYEP at the level it had been in this administration to get 12,000. Council, through their deliberative process, made a reduction in that budget, and so that's the budget that ultimately passed.
Council cut the budget.
Correct.
For the program, is there a waiting list?
I think, Dr. Morris Hughes, we've been able to sign up our young people and make additional opportunities available in the other programs that we have, including Career Connections, in the additional 1,000 slots that we're going to make available through the 1,000 Opportunities Initiative.
So that's correct. So we intend on serving as many young people as possible. But in addition to the Marion Barry Summer Youth Employment Program, like the mayor said, we have our out-of-school youth program. We have our DC Career Connections. We actually have another program called DC Talent Leaders. So we intend on serving as many young people as possible.
You just can't get a job because of the cuts this summer?
So really, because of this initiative and additional resources, we've been able to add additional opportunities. If there is a young person who is not able to come through the program, we do have these other programs like the out-of-school youth and DC Career Connections, which we're extending because of this 1,000 Initiatives opportunity.
Yes.
Thank you for that great question, Sam. If the council cut the budget, is there a council member that can speak to why it was cut?
Councilmember Silverman is here. I don't know if she wants to take the podium.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. So as some of you know, I head the Labor Committee, and the Labor Committee did not suggest cutting the budget. It was cut at the council level. It was cut by, when the budget came to the council. My recollection of it is that not all the slots were filled for the 22 to 24-year-olds, and I think there was a reduction there to match the participation in 22 to 24-year-olds for the previous year. I think there was one other place, as I said, it was cut when the budget went to the chairman, so I can't quite recall, but I think it was about matching participation to the previous year.
Oh, it was cut because the slots were left unfilled. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a trend in SYEP where the initial, we reserved, so the council agreed with the mayor, in creating slots. We expanded to 22 to 24-year-olds, I think 3 years ago. Is that correct? I think 3 years ago. And we reserved 1,000 slots. I think that there was participation of about 900 or so folks in the 22 to 24-year-old slot. So that was part of it. I'd have to go back and take a look.
Thank you for your response, but we may want to rethink how we're getting that information to the public, because I have young people in that age bracket asking me for a job every week.
Right.
They knock on my door.
So it is. So I think the agency's done a great job. A lot of the issue with, I think we want to think about making sure that, especially for our older youth who want to work, that they're being reached by SYEP. So the folks who are disconnected to school and disconnected to work, that's especially where we want to use those slots for 22 to 24-year-olds and match folks with that opportunity to get them into the 6-week program so we can have them work the other 46 weeks of the year. The other thing I was going to say, Kimon, is that we do have a little bit of attrition in SYEP. So, I'm sure the folks who are here, the young people who are here, are going to work all 6 weeks. We do have an attrition from the first week to the 6th week. Not everyone who starts SYEP completes the 6 weeks. So that has to do with the numbers as well.
Councilwoman,
Sure.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the interrupters, when they will actually hit the streets, what that's going to look like? I thought I read in the press release they were going to hit the streets today, but then it sounded like they start their training today. So where is that?
Sure. I am going to have Director McFadden and the CA respond to you about our existing initiatives, which we have been training our outreach staff and have made grants available in the community. The community-serving organizations are hiring and putting people on the streets, and we'll talk about any new initiatives. Thank you, Director.
How you doing? Good. Yes, so the organizations are being trained. We have 3 organizations. One organization for wards 1 through 5, which is Collaborative Solutions for Communities. One for 6 and 7, which is Training Grounds. And one specifically for Ward 8, which is Far Southeast Collaborative. The training actually started today, and that's exactly where I came from with Mr. Moding. And the training will be a 40-hour training taking place all week on different scenarios, and also putting individuals in stress situations to see how they deal and respond to crisis situations in the street. So mediation and the interrupters will actually start this Saturday, but training will be ongoing. We have another training that's going to happen in September, and so we're looking at best practices and evidence-based practices here locally and also abroad, internationally. So we're very excited about the training that's taking place this week, and the organizations and the incredible history and context of the organizations that's familiar with doing this work in the past.
Director, you said there are 3 organizations. How many actual interrupters are being trained that will actually be on the streets come Saturday?
So right now we have approximately over 45 individuals in that class, but the interrupters will range from 18 to maybe 20, 22 on the street, boots in the ground, in the trenches.
And do they go out? Are they identifiable in any way?
Yes, we are working right now to have some clothing across the city so that you can quickly identify the individuals when they're out in the community dealing with crisis situations. But I think in the training this morning it's very important that we prevent these situations as well. So when we hear information or we know things are about to take place for whatever reason, that we can go in through relationships with the community. So I want to make it clear, this does not work without buy-in from the community, and it does not work without the organizations that have a history, trust, and who can do this work extremely well. So there's a lot that we have to learn. This work has not been coordinated in this effort for the last 7 years, and so there's a lot that we have to learn. So it takes time to get to where we want to be capacity-wise.
Let me just add to that, too. We also have the Pathways Initiative, which is actually also led out of Director McFadden's office. and that is 18 individuals that we have selected who are identified as high risk for being either a victim of violence or perhaps a perpetrator of violence. We started with that cohort of last Monday, working with those individuals and getting them in support services, wraparound services, and employment services as well. So we've got a number of initiatives that are led out of the Office of Neighborhood Safety Engagement to really impact this population and this issue that we see.
Yes, sir.
Just a follow-up question. As you may know, Alexander Bundy Mosby from District Culture, our business partner and our friend who actually helped build the space that we're on, was murdered about a month ago. So excuse me for pushing back just a little bit. I wrote an article that was published in the Washington Post Sunday before last. It talked about the root causes of violence. I urge you to pick that up, and I would love to talk with you about addressing some of those litany of issues that causes violence as opposed to just dealing with the violence after it occurs.
Absolutely.
We really need to focus on that, and I hope that you give us an audience to do so.
Absolutely.
I like everyone to acknowledge it as
The
such.
Bundy Garden, yes, absolutely. Would love to talk to you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
We're going to do a photo with all of the SYP students.